So I really need to be, making dinner for the Soap and Clay kidlets and not filming this, but I'm procrastinating on the dinner thing because I don't like making dinner. But they need to eat, so I'm gonna keep this short. Hi, I'm Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are here for another round of 365 days of soap. And today we are doing round 2 of the big lather test, and we are making a honey soap. Now this particular soap is scented with milk and honey, as you would expect in a honey soap, and it has honey inside of it, which you would also expect from a honey soap. And yeah, the creation of this bar, it's actually a reasonably easy thing to incorporate sugars into your soap batter, but I'm gonna show you how to do it just in case you have any questions. And are you ready to go see that? Let's go. Okay, so number 2 in the big lather test is the honey soap. Now for the lye water, it was a standard lye water solution, and I was working with about a 25% lye solution with this, and or I'm sorry, a 35% lye solution with this, and I also did add a couple tablespoons of honey to the lye water itself. And you can or cannot do that. Honey is actually something that can be easily incorporated into the soap batter once you have hit emulsification, or add trace or whatever, just as well. I wanted to put the honey directly into the soap itself though, or into the lye itself though, because I did want to play with the color of the actual batter without having to add much to it. I will go ahead and put extra honey into the soap batter too, so when it's all said and done, this particular batch will have about 4 tablespoons of honey, and that is about a 3.5 pound batch, so that's pretty stock standard. That's basically the recommended usage for honey and soaps. And this particular oil blend, we got the basic 3: olive, palm, coconut, and responsibly sourced palm, of course. And yeah, we are ready for the pour. Now for this pour, all of the soaps, other than the aloe vera soaps, they're all going to look very similar. We're going to just work on kind of a very simple theme with all of this. But with the honey soaps, I do want to try to use some bubble wrap on the top of the bar to give it sort of a honeycomb type texture. And I also do want to play with the particular scent blend that we are using, which is a honey and oatmeal blend, and it's delightful, but it has a lot of vanilla in it, and so I'm hoping that it will actually discolor the top portion that will have the honeycomb pattern pressed into it. Now the kaolin clay is going to go into the main body, and I dispersed the kaolin into water this time around, and I'm going to put a little bit of, about 75% of the actual scent blend into the main body of the soap, which will stay this lovely kind of caramel type color here. And I'm going to put a little bit of honey into the body of the soap as well, because again, this is for the big lather test, so we want to make sure that the whole soap is appropriately honeyed, as it were, so we can have a good representation of what honey does to the lather of soaps. Now in addition to honey increasing the lather of soaps, it's also really cool in that there's lots of amino acids in honey, and it's antibacterial, which is cool because people are always asking for antibacterial soaps these days. So, you know, there's honey. It's naturally antibacterial. But again, rinse off product. So take it for what it is. Now, once the bottom portion has been, you know, scented and colored and all that jazz, we have the honey in that. We're going to put it into our mold, and we are using a log mold today. And while that is firming up, we will then prepare the top. Now, the top is where we're going to put the rest of the honey, as well as a little bit of colorant to really help it do its, you know, browning thing. Because the thing is, with scents or essential oils or whatever that say there's discoloration, I have noticed that sometimes I'm really relying on the discoloration. I think the Venus soaps would be a really good example of that, and it didn't happen, right? And I really wanted those pink and purple, you know, sort of swirls in the Venus soap, and it didn't happen. So I go ahead and make sure that I put some of the color that I ultimately want it to turn into the batch as well, just in case I don't get the discoloration that I'm expecting. Because what I'm going for is sort of a mid to dark brown coppery color on the top. And I want to make sure that that happens. So I have a little bit of copper mica in the honey itself, which is why it's kind of sparkly and shiny. And then I will put a little bit extra brown cappuccino mica in the top too, just to really help it along its way. Now, of course, for this bar, it will be C-popped. We will force it through gel because we want to get it out of the mold, you know, faster, but also because we want to really make sure that those colors do their thing. And there's me, you know, putting in the cappuccino mica, and that's great. And yeah, so honey, it's going to be like any other sugar that you put into soaps. It is really going to increase the lather quite a bit, and it's a very impressive lather boost, and it's nice, and you know, it's a natural, easy thing to do. I mean, we talk about additives. What are cool additives to put in soap? And people naturally just sort of shy away from additives, the term additive, and that's not what we mean. As soap makers, we're not talking about, hey, let's put this, you know, crazy detergent or, you know, phthalate or chemical, whatever, into it. We're going to put honey in to up the lather instead of having to use, like, you know, SLS or whatever. And the bottom part has firmed up really nicely. So we're just going to pour the, you know, the brown right over the top and let it do its thing, scrape everything into this mold. And again, it will go through C-pop and gel, but before we do that, we will be taking some bubble wrap and pressing it into the top of the soap and letting it cure with the bubble wrap on. Now, the cool thing about the bubble wrap is it will prevent any sort of soda ash from forming on the top of the bar because the bar is covered at this point. But also it's going to have that cool bubbly, you know, pattern on the top of the bars, which will look a whole lot like a honeycomb. And that's pretty, and that's fancy. And you can do that with, look at that, just a piece of bubble wrap. And yeah, this will sit for 24 hours, and we will cut it tomorrow, and then we will let it firm up for a few more days. And then at the end of the week, we will test its lather to see if it's any better than, you know, the beer soap or the aloe vera soap or the coconut milk soap or the almond milk soap. We want to see what lather is best. Okay, so it is day 2, and it is time for the cut. Now, with soaps like this, when you're putting things like milks or sugars or what have you into a soap, the soap is softer for a longer period of time, and the soap is just generally softer when you're pouring inside of a silicone mold as opposed to a wooden mold that's lined all of the time. So a good way to make sure that your soap will release nicely is to put it in the freezer before you release it. I didn't do that for this, and so as a result, you can see the sort of, yeah, all the stuff that's on the end of the mold and then the stuff that's on the end of the bar there. But because it's so soft, you can absolutely just smooth all of those areas out. So you don't have to worry about planing things off. Just take your finger to it and clean it all up. And then you don't have to, you know, do the extra work when the soap is fully cured, which I'm a fan of. So, I mean, there's another reason why I cut my soaps when they're reasonably soft. And I love the honeycomb pattern on this soap. It's really beautiful. It's working out really well. The top is not as dark as I had anticipated, but here's the thing about these soaps that, or the scents that discolor, it takes a while, and it takes a while in air for them to discolor, right? So I would not expect to actually see a really kind of golden brown at this point. That's not my expectation right now. But after a few days of it sitting in open air, after it's been cut and, you know, the plastic has been removed and all that jazz, it should start darkening up, which is, you know, the hope. Now, look at that. It's all magically cut up. And let's see what we have going on inside and see if any of the honey in the actual lye water created any problems. And, oh yeah, as you can see, none problems whatsoever. That is a beautifully formed bar of soap. It is absolutely amazing. Now, this is one thing. This is something I will say about the silicone molds. You don't have to cut off the end pieces. Whereas with the molds that you line with paper, you kind of have to trim off the end because it makes it obvious that, well, this was an end piece of soap. And you kind of lose some product as a result, which is okay for me because I put it in the bits and bobs, you know, bag that you can purchase on the website. But otherwise, it kind of sucks to cut a piece off of your beautiful soap. But with silicone molds, you don't have to do that. It's all very smooth and awesome. And all of these bars are just beautiful. I really am hoping that brown darkens up on top, but I really love the sort of lighter caramel color that you have on the bottom because I put the honey directly into the lye water and sort of, you know, burnt it. Which I guess technically speaking you're not supposed to do. You should not do that, and you should like freeze everything that you put in so you don't have any scorched lye water. And you know, actually we'll play with that for the next soap. We will be talking about what happens when you do scorch the lye water and making it work to your advantage. And yeah, no, there it is. It's day 35 of 365 days of soap, the honey soap, and I can't wait to test this for the big lather test. So as you can see, incorporating sugar into your soaps, not a huge scary process. And I did it two ways, right? So I put the honey directly into the lye water, but then I also added honey into the soap batter itself once it had hit emulsification. And either way works. And it really does, you know, increase the lather of the bar, and that's awesome because we're doing a big lather test at the end of the week. So yeah, nothing really crazy about this bar and nothing really went wrong with it, and that's shocking for me. But you know, just wait. We'll get to the rest of them, you know, soon. And I say that as like a weird spoiler, but I actually made all of the soaps for the big lather test on the same day to ensure they had the exact same amount of cure time so we could test them, you know, scientifically, which is cool. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us for another round of 365 days of soap. I am so glad that you're here. I am so glad that, you know, you're continuing to stick around for the soapy ride. It's a lot of fun. Stick around until the end of the week when we do the big lather test, because that would be awesome. And, you know, stick around past that and subscribe and do the things, and that would be cool. If you are interested in any big lather soaps, you can find them on the Soap and Play website. They are in the seasonal items section right now. And once these soaps, you know, sell out, they're gone. So grab them while you can. If you're interested in finding me on social media, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the things. And yeah, again, thank you so much for hanging out today. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another round of 365 days of soap. Bye.